Hello, all my lovely people. So today's recipe, I'm going to be making a lemon curd. Now normally you do this in a double boiler, but the recipe I found, which is from Epicurious, does not. So I have an overloaded lemon tree, and I have no idea what to do with this darn lemons. So I decided, why not make lemon curd? So I have juiced a lot of lemons that equaled about 4 cups that I juiced. And I put them all in my nice enamel cast iron pan. And so it takes about, when I did 4 cups of lemon, you want to do an equal amount of sugar. But I backed it off to 3 cups of sugar, because it's just too sugary to do 4 whole cups of sugar. Plus you want that tartness of the lemon. So to that, I'll be adding eggs. Now the recipe calls for 3 eggs for every half cup of lemon juice. Now I have 18 eggs here. So I'm hoping the 18 eggs will be enough, hopefully. But you never know with eggs. I do have a couple more here if need be, but I'm hoping the 18 eggs will do the trick. So I'm going to go ahead and crack these open and then get them in the pot. So I have the eggs all whisked in here with the lemon and the sugar. I went ahead and just backed it off to a dozen eggs, 12 eggs. Now I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to turn it down to about medium low. And I'm just going to whisk and whisk away until it starts to thicken. It'll be a pudding consistency. You see how vibrant and yellow it is? It's going to be good. I have tried this recipe before, and it's nice and tart and tangy and sweet, and it goes good on everything. I mean, you could probably put it on a shoe and you'd be able to eat it, but no, if you really like lemon, you'll love this recipe. So I'm just going to continue whisking and whisking until it thickens up all nice and evenly. Well, you want a nice pudding, even consistency. No lumps. You don't want any lumps. If you do have lumps, like little tiny curds, what I would suggest is that you strain it at the end. And then we'll see what happens at the end of this one. So I'll be back with you when it starts. Now I totally forgot I had to add lemon zest, and I have all these halved lemons here that I need to zest. So I turned off the lemon curd. You can see it's real foamy, which is good. Means it's cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and zest some of these lemons. The recipe with the pared down 3 eggs calls for 2 teaspoons. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. So once I get it zest, and I also have to add butter. The recipe calls for it to be about 3/4 of a cup butter, but I'm just going to add in however much I feel like. The butter is just to make it kind of glossy and silky. So I'm just going to put in what I want. And once I get the lemon zest back in, I'll be back with you. So it's not thickening up quite how I wanted it to. It's taking too long. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more eggs. It is getting a little thicker, but again, it's taking too long. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to add 2 more eggs. But before you do that, you have to temper it. So I'm just whisking these eggs up in a little bowl here. I know I'm making a mess. So those are nice and whisked. Let's see if I can't record this somehow. No. So basically what you do is you take a ladle and you take the hot liquid and you stream it into the eggs as you whisk. But I don't have enough hands, so I'm going to do that off camera and I'll show you what the end product looks like after I temper it. Alright, so that is what the tempered product looks like. You see how it got kind of real creamy. So I'm going to go ahead and add it into this mixture. There we go. And then I'm going to whisk this. Whiskey, whisk. No, there's no whiskey in this. I'm just whisking it. Now, the debate is, some people say whip, like W-H-I-P. Other people say whisk, W-H-I-S-K. Which one's yours? I say whisk. This has always been a whisk to me, and that is how I learned it in culinary school. It's a whisk. What are your thoughts? All right. Well, hopefully those 2 eggs help to thicken it a little better. It's getting there, and I'll be back. So it is getting thicker. You can feel the resistance in the whisk, but it's not quite there. It needs to leave whisk marks in the curd. But I can feel it getting thicker. Yay, so those 2 eggs did work, which is good. So I'm just gonna continue whisking through. Like I said, it's a long process, but it's worth it in the end. Look at that. See, it's getting you can just kind of see it thickening. You can feel it actually more than you can see it. See that? It's getting thicker. Oh boy, lemon curd soup. So I went ahead and added more butter. I added about 2 more tablespoons. It just needed a little something to kind of make it a little creamier. It was tasting a little too much like a marmalade. But as you can see, it's really starting to thicken. And I'm just kind of getting that butter in there and making sure it's melting. Look at that. And the bubbles that are forming on the surface, see that? That's kind of what you want. It's still not quite there, but I'm going to continue whisking through. The whisking ensures that it doesn't clump, that there's no major scrambles in it from the egg. You'll notice little tiny bumps throughout. That's from the lemon zest. And it could be little curds that have formed. That's okay. You want it completely smooth, of course you can strain it, but when you strain it, keep in mind that that's going to take out all of the lemon zest. Almost there. I want to see the actual bubbles bubble up and pop through the surface. I am going to take my little, look at that. See, it's still a little too soupy. Just a little bit. Put it back on my little pile here and get back to whisking. Still no whisk marks. I'll be back. It's really coming together. As you can see, it's kind of got this jelly consistency to it. See how it's kind of jiggling? Almost like Jell-O. But still not quite thick enough for me. Just a little thicker. I kind of want to see it hold its shape when I slide my whisk through it. Just a little thicker for my taste anyways. If you like a thinner curd, that's fine. If you like it more like a loose pudding, you do it how you want it. But this is how I like it. Just want it nice and thick. Just a little thicker. So there are bubbles starting to form on the surface. So that's a good thing. Now we just wait for a little bit. Now the recipe says to whisk frequently, which is what I'm doing. Constant whisking would be you would just not stop whisking. But frequently, you kind of stop to see where it's at. You can also do a test. Oops, see, look at that. As you can see, it's getting there. So here's kind of a test. You wipe the back of a spoon, and it held its shape. All right, oh, see? Right there. Bubbling, bubbling. Oh, ho, ho. Whisk, 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 whisk. Keep it whisking. Oh, almost. Almost. You can kind of see it forming whisk marks. I'm actually going to run my finger in it. It tastes so good. Tart, creamy, lemony. I'm going to let it come up to a bubble again. It's going. I know. It's watching a pot boil, right? Not the funnest thing. But you can see the little bubbles forming here. And then all throughout the surface. All right. Those extra 2 eggs really helped. So it ended up being 14 eggs. Yeah. All right, I'm calling it. I'm going to get these into, I'm going to let it cool down a little bit, see what it does when it thickens, and then I'll get it into jars, and then there we'll have it. All right, so as you can see, it has really thickened. It's very nice. It's exactly the consistency I want. So I went ahead and I put it in a jar. And then on top of this, I put plastic wrap. Now when you put the plastic wrap, it just, you want it to touch the full surface. A full sheet, the full surface of the lemon curd. And then I just sort of bunched up the plastic wrap and put it just inside the jar. This was an old salsa jar. Yes, I reuse. This has been reused quite a bit after the salsa. I, used it to keep leftovers in, and then I just washed it really, really well in hot water. So these need to go in the fridge and chill for about an hour before you can eat it. Although it's cooked, you can eat it whenever you want, but it'll just get a lot yummier in the fridge. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that with the little jars I have, and you'll see my whole collection in a little while. So here I have another little lemon jar, and I'm going to go ahead and put the plastic wrap on top. So all you're going to do, you don't want it to stick to the glass, you want it to stick to the surface of the lemon curd. So just kind of take your plastic wrap here and just sort of make it go in there, however you can. You do want to be a little gentle. You don't want a big clump like that. Here we go. That's what I want. So see how it's clinging to the surface here? That's what you want. And then I'm just gonna do that. This one I'm gonna seal to the outside of the jar because it's smaller. And then, see, so there's one. Here's the other one. Top it off. All right. The next one is going to be a very big jar. It's a, how big is this jar? It's probably about 4 cups. So, yeah. All right, so there is my lovely collection. It's a little out of whack, but hey, it is what it is. When you have too many lemons, you don't know what to do with them. Yeah. And this I'll probably, I don't know, I'll think of something to make with this leftover stuff. So I'll get these guys into the fridge. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make something not so healthy. So remember, my friends, try to keep it healthy, stay happy, and keep it homemade. Bye for now.